Hi there, how you doing? My name's Chris, and this is actually a tutorial originally authored by Pete Draper, and I've got permission to rebuild this into a video tutorial for 3D Palace. My name's Chris, and this is all about bacteria cell division using particle flow. Bacteria cell division is obviously where cells split off and create more cells. It's the kind of thing you see underneath a microscope. Now there's two ways you could do this process. The first one would be to keyframe it all. You'd animate your visibility tracks and so on. But this is a particle tutorial, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to use particle flow, we're going to use spawn tests, and we're also going to use a compound animated object as our base object for this. We're not going to discuss how you make the animated compound object in this tutorial. However, it is included in the max files, and there you go, you see. So what it's doing is, if I just slowly scrub it forward between its two keyframes, they separate off like that, and when it's at this point, this is where it would then spawn that one. Okay, so it's going to be a kind of perpetual animated spawning loop. Okay, so anyway, let's start as we mean to go on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with particle system, PF source, and I'm just going to drag it out underneath the camera here. Okay, then I'm going to go over here to my space warps. Actually, before I do, I better go down here, and I want to make sure my integration step, viewport, and render is both frame. Okay, don't need to worry about particles falling through each other or anything, so frame's going to be absolutely fine at the minute. Okay, go over here to space warps, and I'm going to put a drag in, just click and drag, and I want to turn it off at 1000, and I've got linear damping at 5%. Okay, right then. Now what I'm going to do is zoom in my top view here. I'm going to hit 6, and that will open up these, and I'll just delete my dead events here. So I've got my PF source 001 and my event 003. If you've never used particle flow before, probably not chosen the best tutorial to come in it from out of nowhere from, but we'll go for it anyway. Okay, we're going to rename this. This is our root node. So this is going to be our PF source bacteria dividing. So rename, and I always use underscores because I'm old school. PF source bacteria dividing, like that. Okay, I'm going to add a material static operator to the root event. Okay, so if I just find that, where the heck it's gone. So let's see, material, had it a minute ago, you know what it's like, don't you? Here we are, material static, drag that there, and that will allow us to set the material for the entire event. Okay, and then what I need to do is go to my birth operator, just here, and I'm going to have emit stop at 1, and it's only going to emit one particle. Okay, that's all we need. Okay, position, just here. I'm going to set the location to pivot, like so, and what I'm going to do then is rename this to initial direction. Now because I'm old school, I will then go back and put the underscore in. There we go. Right, now I just need to clean up my initial direction. So what I'm going to do is take away our shape, because we don't really need that, so I'll just hit delete. And then what I want to do is amend the speed setting, and I'm going to change the speed to 1. Doesn't need to be especially fast, you see. What else do I need to do? Let me see. Direction will be random horizontal. So pull that down there, set that to random horizontal, like so. And the rotation operator, which is just here, I'm going to send its orientation matrix. Hang on, autosaves is doing its thing. Give me a minute. Right, sorry, I'm going to set the orientation to speed space follow, and then I'm going to set the Y setting to 90 degrees. Okay, so that it goes in that direction. Okay, so that's our starting point here for this. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I need a send out. Okay, so here we are, send out. And what it does is it sets the test result for all particles to either true, thus sending them to the next event, or false, which will keep them in this event. Okay, so I'm going to use send out and just drag it here before our actual display. And now what I can do is make a new, and I'll just get a shape instance for this. Just a new kind of event down here. Okay, so now we have display ticks and shape instance. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select our object. Now in that case we have bacteria cell just here, and scale 100%, variation no percent, so that's all correct, but I need to just tick the animated shape. And animation offset keying would be by particle age, no random offset. Okay, and then display here is going to be geometry, so right click, or just click on it, not right click, and change this to geometry. So now anything that creates through there will appear down here. Okay, and I'll just drop into my particle flow so you can kind of see. Not really a lot going on at the moment, but don't worry. Okay, drop back into camera, like so. And now if I link these together, there we go. There is our first piece of bacteria. And it grows, see? Okay then, so next what we have to do is add a keeper part, which I'm just going to add after the shape instance. So if we just look for our keeper part, which is just here. Okay, and I'm going to set the acceleration limit on this just to 100. That way they won't move too quickly, otherwise it'll look a little bit silly. Core and fall off settings will be 50, quite a large fall off. There we go. I'm going to set the scope to the current particle system, like that, and then I'm going to add a force operator just after this one, so here's force. And in this, I'm going to add my drag operator, like so. Okay, and I'm going to set the influence on this to 3000%. And then I'm going to instance my rotation operator here. So just copy it, and then in here, paste my instanced. There we go. So now this is a copy of this. Right then, and what happens here is this will obviously amend any particle directions caused by the keeper part, so that's quite useful and helpful. So now if we just drag this out, you can see that it's creating our first particle, but not a lot else is happening. Okay, so let's continue. Right, so next I'm going to add an age test to this. Okay, the age test is going to look for the age of the particles. So if I just slip it in there just before the display again, and just increase the size of this window, so it's going to need to be a little bit bigger. Okay then, now inside here I'm going to set it to event age rather than particle age. I'm going to keep the test value. Let me see. Actually I'm going to change this to 25 and variation to 0. Okay, so basically that means every 25 frames something's going to happen. Yeah. Right. What I need to do now is instance the keeper part, force, rotation, and display operators. So keeper part and force and rotation and display, and then shift and drag them down there as an instance. And then in my age test, I can then link these together. Okay then. Let me see now. I think what we're going to call this one is, because they need names, this is the initial divide. Got to be clean with your naming standards or you'll not know what your particle system is doing. And then rename this one, and this is your division wall. Okay then, so initial divide, division wall. Next part of the job. So the next thing we need to do is we need to go to division wall, just here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new age test. Just stick it there, and then for this I'm going to set both values to 5 for test and variation, and again, okay, we need this to be on event age. Make sure it's greater than test value, like that. Okay. Now what's going to happen is this event will add some random timing because we're basically using this as a feedback loop in our system. So without it, we'd see all of our cells spawn at the same time, which would basically be chaos. And also will drag your system to its knees, no matter how powerful it is usually. Okay then, so moving on to the next section then, we're going to do the division split part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a spawn test, which is here. That's a speed test, not a spawn test. Here we are, spawn, and I'm just going to have it here, okay, like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire the age test to this, and then here I'm going to rename this part of the test to division split cover up. As so. Okay. I'm going to rename the spawn test to spawn. Well, it's already spawned, so rename. But I'm going to give it capital letters so it sounds like a comic character. Let me see. Spawn. Actually, need to denote whether or not this is going to be a child or not. Spawn child. Yay. Speed divergence to 10. So let's have a look. Should I've got this clicked? Oops, I've not got it clicked. Let's change divergence there to 10. Should be able to keep everything else the same. And then I'm going to add another spawn test. So here it is. Let's drag it to there. This is going to be spawn parent. Like that. Okay, I'm going to set its speed divergence on this one to 0, like so, which basically resets the particle's age, so it's being thrown back into the fold. Okay, now what I need to do is I need the keep apart, rotation force and display operators in this new event. Keep apart, force, rotation, let me think. Force, rotation, display. Yep, that'll be fine. And what I'll do is just hold shift and just drag them down like this. Instance them. Oops. And then I always get the size of these things moving somehow. I'm going to take my display down here, ticks, and just delete it. Okay, so let's see how this is doing. Well, there's our initial one that stretches and then does loopy things, but it's not exactly working right yet, is it? Well, let's give it some time. Still got a bit of work left to go here. So, next thing I'm going to do is add an age test. So can't quite get the size of that right. There we go. Right, so I'm going to add an age test to this just before the display. Stick that in there, like so. Okay. So that's age test. And what I'm going to do is set this to event age and just rename it. Did I just delete it by mistake? I did. Rename this to age, like so. Alright, let me see, its test value is going to be 1. No variation. Okay, so if a particle's older than 1 in this event, it's going to kill it. Now I just add a delete, which I'm going to stick here, like so. Grab that there and just get rid of the display because it doesn't really need to display anything anyway. There we are. And so that will now kill particles. So I'll just rename this delete particles, like so. Okay, now what I'm going to do is instance the age. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just hold down this event here, hold shift again, and just shift and drag it over to here, and another instance. Okay, we don't really need that at the moment, this display 08, so I'll just click it and delete it for a minute, like so. Okay, so here's our copy of an age event, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to connect my spawn parent once to this, then I'm going to take my output here, and if we can just stop that here. Do that again, look, I just moved everything. I hate doing that. What I'm going to do now is take my initial divide from my age test 1, and that will allow me to reset, like so. Okay, and another thing I need to do is just select my entire event, right click, go to my properties, and if I just have a look here, see how this box is that says renderable, just turn it off. Okay, and just click OK. Right, and I'm going to rename this as well to division parent non-renderable. Then I'm going to put in my underscores because I get really antsy about them sometimes, and I can see that I haven't actually done this for the delete particles event either, much to my annoyance. Okay, so those are now fixed. Oh, such an itchy nose, you'll not believe it. Okay then, so now we've created this giant feedback. So what we're going to do now is create a new event, okay, and this is going to be for our child division. So what I'll do is I'll just increase the size of my window like this. I'm going to move this up here a little bit, and move that to this side so that it's slightly cleaner. Right, so a speed operator. So if I just find the speed, which is here, just drag it to here, I've got a new event which I'm going to rename. This will be division child non-renderable. Okay, so division child non-renderable here. I don't need the display for the moment, so I'll just delete that. Okay. I'm going to remove, right, and input of this event goes to the output of our spawn for a child. Like so. Let's move it down here. It's a bit tidier again. And move that right to there. There we go, like that. Right, I'm going to set the new speed operator speed to 500. Like so. Direction to inherit previous. So it'll inherit whatever direction it was going in before. And then I'm going to instance the age. So I'll just drag this straight down from here. Hold shift, just drag it in. And it's instanced. Okay, so there's our age event. Just copied straight over from there. And again, we can make a feedback loop. Oops, I did not want that, do we? Again, we can create a feedback loop, however, so I can then push this back to the initial divide like so, and then right click, properties, non-renderable. Okay. Right, the two non-renderable events have made a hold state for the cells, so that establishes where they're going to be. So we've created a single frame particle offset which will be hidden from the render and has the division split cover-up event in place to hide the transition. Okay, so what that means is basically it's working out where it is. It's quite cunning the way it does it. See what's going on? You're starting to see now? I hope you are. Let me just reduce this in the background here. Quite pretty, isn't it? Okay, as usual, just in case, File, Save As, and we would like to save this to, let me think, just a Doodles folder will probably do. Now we put it Workbench Bacteria 1. There we go. Okay. Right, the next thing we're going to do is create another new event. We create so many of these, and this is going to be the event division, child, divide. So take a speed operator again. So where is it? It is speed operator. Pop that there. And what I need to do is, have I renamed this yet? No. Starting to worry myself, you know. Right, so division, child, divide. Okay, that way we know what it is. Right, the speed operator needs a speed of 1. Again, just bring it right down. Direction is going to be inherited previous, like so. Pardon me. And we're going to wire the input of this event to the output of the division non-rangeable age test. Like that. Okay, so now we've taken that one out of that feedback loop. Right then. Oh, pardon me, I've got a blocked nose. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to instance the shape instance, keep apart, force and display events to this one as before. So we can get those more or less anywhere. I think there's some up here. Here you go. Shape, keep apart, force, and did I need rotation? No, just the display. Okay, shift and then drag, let's pop them here, and then I can get rid of, I put them in the wrong one, I really am a doofus. You bring them down to that one. Oh no, you took the 1 this time. Yeesh. See what happens. Shape instance, keep apart, force, display, shift, and drag. Oh, doesn't think. Right, copy. Paste instanced. That's better. Right, we'll get rid of this display tick because we don't need it. Everything else looks like it's where it should be, so that's cool. Let me see. So what we need to do now is instance the age hold for the initial divide. So let's see. The 25 frame one. 5 frames. 1 frame, 1 frame must be higher up. Here we go. That's it. That's our initial age hold. And what I'm going to do is right click, copy, and then paste instanced here. And I'll just bring it down to before the display, like so. Let me see. I need to wire that to the instance to the input of the division wall. So what this will do is it'll create a big feedback loop, like so. As you can probably see now, it's working much more efficiently, but it's creating a lot of particles. Okay, so if I just drag this now, you can see here we have our system, and it's working. Okay, we're kind of spreading these out, and of course you can use this for other things as well. Self-replicating nanobots would be quite cool, for example. Quite like to see that. Right, now in our top viewport, so I'll just click T. I need to create another particle flow source. Okay, so we've got 2 particle flow sources going on. So if I go over here and go there, and I'm just going to reposition it to the origin of the scene before, sorry. So if I just use my move tool, and I can set this. There we go. That's my scene origin. Pardon me, I've really got a horrible nose. Okay then, I'm going to set its icon type, like so, to a box. And I'm going to set the length, width and height all to 2000. Like so. I'm going to set the viewport quantity multiplier to 10. Quite important, otherwise we'll end up with too many particles on our screen. And the render integration step should be set to frame if it isn't set there already. Okay, now back in particle view in the new system. If I just press 6, it is here, you see, isn't it pretty? I'm going to put a new material static in here, so just drop it underneath there like so. So I'm just going to slightly sort here. Okay, and this is now called PF. It's particle flow source debris. Okay then. Right then. Right, the birth operator here is going to stop at 0. Okay, and the amount is going to be 20,000. Like so, and that, as you can see, it's created loads and loads and loads of things. In the speed, we're going to set the speed to 5. We don't want them zooming around much, they can float slowly and that's about it. Put a variation of 2, and then just random horizontal. There we go, like that. I'm going to add a spin operator to the event. That does literally what it says on the tin, it makes things spin. There we go. And let me see. I'm going to set its spin rate and its variation to 100. So it's kind of very random how it's going to spin, which is cool. Okay, like that. I'm going to remove the existing shape operator, like so. And I've got such a blocked nose. I'm going to add a shape instance instead, like that. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the bubble object to the operator. So if I just drag this across here, this is the bubble object here. There's a mini cell and stuff as well. So if I go to shape instance and particle geometry object, let's click that. Okay, so we've got bubble. Let me see. I'm going to enable separate objects for, where is it? Here we go. Here we go. Separate particles for object and children, like so. And the initial additional source debris objects in the scene are parented to the bubble object. So I'm going to set the scale and variation settings to 50. That way we'll get a lot of variation, like so. And I'm going to set the display operator here instead to geometry. And now, as you can see, we have a lot of crap on our stage, which is perfect. Okay, next, I'm going to just minimize that so it's down here, and I'm going to open up the material editor. There it is. Wait patiently. Now then, this is the slate material editor. I'm going to use the plain Jane, so I want to stick it back to compact. I like the node-based operator, but this will be a bit easier. Right, this material is going to be called bacteria. I'm going to set its diffuse colour here completely black, whee, like that. Okay. Its specular level is going to be 100. Its glossiness will be 30, so it's quite glossy, as you can see. And I'm going to add a fall-off map to the opacity slot. So if I go here, maps, and just click fall-off, like so. I'll just put a background behind it so you can kind of see what's going on here as well. Okay, I'm going to set this to Fresnel. Everything uses Fresnel. And the side colour, so front side. This side colour here will be... I'm colourblind, so I'm using someone else's guides here. 230 by 230 by 230. Okay, so a light grey. Click OK. I'm going to adjust the mix curve. So let's see, here we are here, this is the mix curve. And if you've never done this before, it's surprisingly easy. So we can add in curves just by adding a autosaves on. Might be a minute. Come on, you, hurry up. Right, add point. See? So what I can then do is click here, and then I can move our points. This is going to give us quite a heavy angle here. But I can change this to a bezier, for example, and then get some more curvature on it. Actually, I'll just delete that one. There, bezier corner will do fine. There we are, just like that. Okay, so a nice curve there, as you can see, onto that. Right. Oh, my cold's getting worse, it's horrible. Okay, now I'm going to instance this material into the material static operator in the particle flow source for the bacteria dividing system. That's this. So now I just go here, shift drag, instance. We now have a material applied to our base here. Okay, this is our base particle object. So that's cool. Now I'm going to make a new material called debris. And I'm going to set again the diffuse color to black. Remember, if you're using different renderers, you're fully welcome to change this any way you want. Specular level is going to be 150. And the glossiness will be 25. And as before, we're just going to add a fall off map into our opacity. Okay. I'm going to set the side color like that. Click OK, so it's 110 on each. So it's basically a slightly darker grey, as you can see. And for the mix curve on this one, I'll just change this. So I'll right click on it to a bezier corner, like so. But then this one, do the same. Okay, so that gives us that kind of curve there. And then what I'm going to do is take this, drag it in there, instance. So now we have our debris material. Right, last thing we need to do then is get our reference objects, okay, because we don't want to be seeing those in our scene for obvious reasons. So we'll take these and we'll take this, okay, and we can hide them. So you can just select hide or whatever if you want. And with them gone, then we'll be free to render our model. Now, what you need to do next is create an omnilight. So if we go into our front viewport, there it is, right? So if you create an omnilight, and that is going to be just down here, okay, in the front viewport, so it's underneath, and that way it's going to act like an underlight on your microscope. And then you can instance it and position it above and to the side of the camera. That way you've got some highlights in your cells. Now I'm going to pull in my final one that has the lighting already. All we've done is that in the first place. Okay, so this is what our finished scene should look like. Everything's hidden now. That needs to be hidden anyway. Everything else is being generated by our particle systems. We've only got 2 particle systems, remember. And so if I turn this on, you can see things kind of floating around in the foreground and the background. Be very careful scrubbing this forwards and backwards, okay? There's going to be a lot of particles here. Other things you can do, you can go into your post effects obviously and add kind of grey or blur if you need to. The reason we've got the 2 lights in here is just to add some highlights to the top and bottom of these. And what I'll do is I'll just take it around about frame, I think 180ish should be good. Set 180ish, not bad. There we go. So you can see kind of what's going on, and I'm just going to go into my render dialog. So hit F10 and just increase the size of the render to 800 by 600. Now it's set up with passes in the camera. Everything's been set up for you, and what happens is it's going to render each one of the passes and then it's going to merge them all together. If you don't have a great computer, perhaps reduce the number of passes on the camera. Okay, so ammo, yes, there we go. It's supposed to be a sequence, so cancel. I'll just render it as a single instead. And it should render frame 180. And this will give you an idea of roughly how long it takes on my computer, which has got like 8 cores or something. Okay, as you can see, it's nearly halfway through rendering its frame. It doesn't take long. It does not take long. Nearly done. Well, it's halfway done. And it really does give a very pretty effect, especially with all the bits of crap floating around on it and stuff. A bit like the stuff you see on the back of your eyes when it's dark and it's been raining and you've got wet eyes. All the weird bacterial stuff in there. Yummy. Another 2 passes. And it's done. There you go, you see. And, well, 35 minutes and you've done a very complicated procedural grow of geometry and made some funky looking bacteria that isn't a robot, incidentally. Credits time. So thanks to Pete Draper for submitting this and allowing us to make videos of it as well. And thanks to Alan Myers, my admin, who's been helping me put tutorials back up on Palace. And thanks to you, dear noble viewer, for watching this tutorial. And until you watch another one, ta-ta for now.